Hello everybody. This video is going to show you the best way and the most efficient way to search using the Gale Slave and Anti-Slavery Transnational Archive database. So first things first is actually getting to the database, and you're probably going to be doing that in a couple of different ways. One of the ways you can do is if you have access to the Literature Resources Library Guide, which I'm sure you all probably have access to this. The quickest way to do that is just going to be to click this link right here, and it will take you directly to the database. But let's say that you, for some reason, do not have access directly to this library guide, or you just need to jump into that database really quickly, and you don't want to try to get to this library guide. One of the quickest ways you can get to the database is just to come to our library website, which is going to be library.coker.edu, and go to Research Help. And go down to databases, and what you will do is you will either scroll all the way down until you get to the S's, or you can just click S. It's the easiest way to do, and you will click on the link for Slavery and Anti-Slavery Archive. So when you do that, it will bring you to this page here, and again, this link will take you to the exact same page. And so once you're here, this is going to be where you are going to start searching for a lot of primary sources in relation to slavery and anti-slavery, and also in relation to any mentionings of the Underground Railroad within publications such as newspapers, pamphlets, manuscripts, monographs, things of that nature from this time period. And you can access all of those very easily through this database. And there's a couple of different ways, or not really a couple, there's more than a couple. There are a few different ways, use the correct term, to actually access any of this information. You can, if you want to, kind of go in a long roundabout way. Just let's say you just really want to kind of poke around in here and look at a lot of different things. You can look at the selected searchable archives. So you do have those options here, and all these are always going to be checked. Always make sure they're always checked as well, so when you do an overall search, you will actually be searching within every one of these archive collections. Because that's very important, because if you don't have them all selected, you may miss out on some manuscripts or newspaper articles or monographs or anything like that when you do your overall searches. But if you do want to search these individually, all you have to do is just click one of them. It does give you some really good, just long, kind of nuanced overviews of the overall topic. So this would be the institution of slavery. It gives you a really nice, long kind of overview, kind of background, foundational information kind of article related to that. And then once you get to the bottom, you do actually have a list of all the collections that are within this archive. So you can go through and you can actually click any of these. It'll bring that specific collection up, and then you can search within that collection. You can view all documents within the collection. It gives you an overview again of that collection. It kind of gives you the date range of it, what types of collections are in there. So this is mostly going to be manuscripts, your source institutions, your languages, and if you click that, it just brings up all of your articles here, and then you can just kind of filter your results. You can do it by collection, by source library, by document type. So you can do that, and it'll actually show the different types of documents that you can actually look at, and then you can just kind of continue to limit it in that manner there. Again, this is really interesting, especially if you just kind of like really want to like do a very broad-based kind of large overview, kind of a big just kind of looking around and just picking at things and kind of, certain areas of slavery and anti-slavery that you might be interested in, that you just kind of want to look at things. This would be a really good way to kind of go about doing that. But it's not going to be the most efficient way to really pinpoint very specific types of information and very specific types of document types and publications related to the overall or the very specific type of research topic that you're looking at. So if we want to do that, there is a couple of ways to do that. One of the easiest ways is going to be to just search within this box here. You really don't need to do an advanced search. I think the advanced search in this database kind of just muddies the results a little bit too much. I think it's better to just kind of leave it a little broader. But in this case, we're just going to do very basic Underground Railroad. And as you can see, it starts to auto-populate a lot of different options here that you can click on and search, but we're going to go and go with this one. And as soon as you do that, it will search specifically for that terminology. And what it does is it looks for that terminology in relation to all of the different types of documents that the database covers. So that's going to include, again, monographs, your manuscripts, and also newspapers and periodicals. And then you can just click through any of those to actually check it out, or you can scroll down and kind of get an idea, just kind of like a brief little example of what each type of document is going to look like and what it's going to actually contain. You can also get keyword preview, so you can click that and it'll give you a small little preview of what you're going to be looking at here. And then once you've actually looked at the preview and seen the term that you're looking at, you can hide the preview, and then you can just pull up the article and take a look at the article this way. And then what it'll do is it'll actually highlight the term that you searched for within that specific article. You can look through and actually read it here and get an idea of what it's about. Again, this is kind of if you just want a just kind of a collective grouping of different publication types. Let's say that maybe you're wanting to look specifically at just newspapers and periodicals, and you're wanting to look at them within specific regions of the United States at that time. You can go to the publications, and what that's going to do is that's going to actually bring up the very specific like newspaper and periodical collections that they have, and you can either look through them individually, which again I recommend just for the sake of just looking at some of this stuff, it's really, really interesting. But I think for efficiency's sake, in terms of looking for what you want to look for, I would probably restrict looking in this area by publication state, province, and also by publication city. So that way you can kind of look and see exactly where within the states you might want to look at. So let's say maybe you want to look at periodicals in the north, that have mentions of the Underground Railroad. Maybe you're wanting to limit it specifically to the south and see what you get. We'll go ahead and use South Carolina as an example. You don't have a ton of options here. You only have 2 periodicals. Most of them don't have more than about 1 or 2 periodicals or newspapers that you can look at. But that's totally fine because you do get multiple issues within those options. So we're going to go ahead and go with the Charleston Tri-Weekly Courier. And as you can see, you have issues dating back to 1853 up to 1899. So you can either do those individually. What I would recommend is just come over here to search within publication and make sure you are going to search there. If you try to do this, it's going to just do another overview, overall kind of search within the database, and it will take you away from this publication. So always make sure you're searching within publication. We'll just do Underground Railroad again. As you can see here, you're going to get 2 newspapers and periodicals. So this is going to be 2 articles within the Charleston Tri-Weekly Courier that mention in some way the Underground Railroad. And so you can, again, get your keyword preview here, or you can just click on the actual article. You get your timing of when that was. So the publication date was 1860 in this one, 1899 in this one. And then you can just kind of choose whichever one. I'm going to go with the news of the day. And what that will do is that will bring up your article. Do not worry about how small this is because thankfully you can zoom in, which is very nice. And then you can just scroll up to the point where you actually see the highlighted information. And then you can read around that. You can also read everything else, kind of around that might lead into it, kind of see what the overall stance is on whatever it is that you're looking at, specifically within these newspaper and periodical articles. And then if this is interesting, if it does seem like this is going to be something that you might want to utilize later, the best way to collect that information is going to be to email it to yourself. You can get a citation here. The citation is more or less going to give you everything you need to get back to this page. It will give you the link here. So this is the link that you're going to want to use, the permanent link. Do not use this link up here. 9 times out of 10, that link is not going to bring you back here. It's just going to bring you back to a blank page. So always make sure you're trying to use the permanent links, and with the citations will always give you that permanent link. So you can either get that there, or you can send it to yourself through email, which is what I recommend doing. Just put your information in there, click send, and this is what that email is going to look like. So basically it's going to send you the source citation, and then it will give you a clickable link that will then take you back to that specific page. So you'll go straight back to that newspaper, that periodical that you were looking at, and you can get your information straight from there. And again, if this isn't like a fully proper MLA or APA formatted, you can go back there and you can actually just go back to your citation area here, and then you can actually pick which one you want there and go with that. Again, I always stress, usually these are okay for the most part in terms of citation, in terms of formatting, but they're not always 100% correct. So always make sure you are double checking these citations for any kind of formatting errors that may pop up. But that's basically going to be how you're going to access a lot of this information, how you're going to be able to collect the information to be able to use later. And again, you can also come here if you just want to get the link, and that's it, if you don't want to get the citation. But I always feel like you probably want to get the citation, because if you're going to have to make a citation, you want that information to make a citation anyway, so you might as well go ahead and get it all in one shot. So emailing yourself, easiest way to do that. But that is pretty much it. I know it's kind of quick. It's kind of a basic overview, but I feel like it hits all of the main points and all of the most relevant points in terms of the database and the types of information that you'll be wanting to collect and use for your projects. So if you have any further questions, you could always send us an email at reference@coker.edu. You can also send an email to me personally at jgarren, that's JGARREN, @coker.edu, and I will try to reply back as quickly as I can to help you out. But I do hope that this video was helpful, and best of luck on your projects.